In this mini lesson, you will learn how to edit a form that has been submitted. From time to time, a member of your staff will fill out a form and submit, and then realize they made a mistake. At other times, staff will fill out a form, submit, and then need to add information later on. In both of these cases, you need to gain access to the submitted form and edit the material. This mini lesson explains how to do this. This lesson assumes that the relevant administrator or staff member in your program has already registered and received a user ID and password, as well as the URL for the site. To edit submitted forms, you must have this information. Here you see Educata's login portal. You will type your user ID and password into the relevant sections and then log in. This first screen shows you the general layout for navigating to your reports. If you click on the folder on the far left labeled Main, it will open to a folder that is specific to your program. Here, the folder opens up to a folder called Risk Eraser. If you click on the folder with your program, you will see in the middle area all the forms that have been created for your program. Next, let's click on one of your forms. If you now look to the far right column, you will see the details about this form. Starting from the top, you see the name of the form and then the number of completed forms. Completed in this case means submitted forms. Straight below, you will see the number of forms that are in progress. These are forms that were opened up but never submitted. I will return to these in a moment. The remaining information is not relevant to your usage. Let us now start with the number to the right of the completed line. This is a hypertext number, so if you click on it, you will open up all the submitted forms. Let's do that and then work with these forms. What you now see are individual forms that were submitted for the Goal Seeker application. On the far left, you see the total number of forms submitted and which of these is presently being displayed. To the right, you see a single arrow and an arrow with a vertical line. Clicking on the single arrow advances to the next form, whereas clicking on the arrow with the vertical line advances to the last form. If you want to navigate to a location in between, you can type in a number and hit Go. Continuing to the right, you see an Edit button and a Delete Response button. To change the information on the submitted form, you will hit the Edit button. If you want to delete the submitted form, hit the Delete Response button. Note, however, that if you hit the Delete Response button, it will delete this one response from your entire database. You do get a warning as shown here, but once it is gone, it will be costly to retrieve unless you have a backup. Let's now click on the Edit button and change a value in this particular form. This is now a copy of the exact form. You can now change any of the values you see. Let's change the date and also enter a staff name which was left blank. When we hit Next, we go to the next page shown here. Let's enter None for the intervention shown up here. We have now made the edits we want, so let's scroll to the bottom of the form and hit the Submit button. These changes have now been entered into the database and thus are now part of any reports created. Lastly, let's have a look at the In Progress forms. Again, these are forms that were opened but never submitted. Some of these may have been opened and never touched, and some may have been opened but the staff member forgot to hit Submit. It is thus worth reviewing these from time to time, deleting the blank versions, and possibly submitting or editing forms that were meant to be entered into your database. Again, let's click on the hypertext number shown here to open up these In Progress forms. When you do this, you are again shown the arrow keys to navigate to different forms, as well as the Edit and Delete Response buttons. These work in exactly the same way as for completed forms. This completes the mini lesson on editing submitted forms.